My name is Ava Brooks, and the first time I realized my life had been hijacked wasn't when the tow truck arrived. It was 3 weeks earlier, when I found my best friend crying in my bathroom at 2 a.m., whispering that she'd made a terrible mistake. I just didn't know the mistake was me. Before I tell you how I ended up in that courthouse hallway, clutching a folder labeled evidence with hands that wouldn't stop shaking, you need to understand who I was. More importantly, you need to understand who Maddie was, because the version of her I thought I knew died long before the police showed up. I'm 29 years old. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in a modest one-bedroom apartment above Flour and Honey Bakery. Every morning at 6:15, the smell of cinnamon rolls seeps through my floorboards like an alarm clock made of sugar and warmth. I've lived here for 4 years, and I've never once regretted the rent increase that came with living above carbs. I work as a children's librarian at Northside Community Library. I do puppet voices for Storytime. I organize summer reading challenges where kids earn stickers that mean absolutely nothing and absolutely everything. I wear glitter like it's a professional requirement because, to 5-year-olds, it basically is. My life was small, but it was mine. Steady, predictable. I had one credit card, paid off in full every month. My credit score was 742. I checked it quarterly like some people check horoscopes. I had $18,000 in savings, accumulated over 6 years of relentless budgeting, living on library salary and bakery day-olds. That money had a name, Brooks Literacy Outreach. It was going to be a nonprofit for kids who struggle with reading, specifically the ones who start to hate themselves for it. The kids who fake stomachaches on library day. The ones who'd rather be called troublemakers than slow readers. I knew those kids because I'd been one of them. In 3rd grade, I was pulled out of class 3 times a week for extra help, which is elementary school code for you're behind and everyone knows it. I remember the walk down the hallway to the resource room, how long it felt, how the other kids would watch. I remember my teacher, Mrs. Halstead, using her patient voice that somehow made me feel worse. I didn't learn to love reading until I was 11, when a librarian named Mr. Kowalski handed me a graphic novel and said, "Reading comes in all formats. Find yours." He saved me, and I wanted to save others. So yeah, I was the boring, responsible friend. The one who color codes her budget spreadsheet. The one who sets up 2-factor authentication and actually reads the terms and conditions. The one who keeps her social security card in a locked fireproof box, like it's the Declaration of Independence. I wasn't rich. I wasn't important. I was just careful. That's why what happened next felt like the universe had reached into my file cabinet and swapped me with someone whose life actually mattered. Enough to destroy. It started on a Tuesday in January, 8:06 a.m. I was standing in line at Flour and Honey, waiting for my usual oat milk latte, when my phone buzzed. "Welcome to Tesla Financing. Your first payment of $1,147 is due in 14 days. Thank you for choosing innovation." I laughed, an actual out-loud laugh that made the woman in front of me glance back. I thought it was a scam text, the kind that tries to trick you into clicking a link. I blocked the number and ordered my coffee. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something, maybe the fact that I'd just gotten a weird Tesla message, made me pick up. "Is this Ava Brooks?" A man's voice. Gruff, but not unkind. "Yes." "Who's this?" "This is Harlan with Metro Tow and Recovery. I'm outside your building right now. We're here to repossess the vehicle registered to you, black Tesla Model 3. Plate number ending in 392. I need to know where the keys are." "Ma'am." The coffee I just sipped turned to acid in my stomach. I don't own a Tesla, I said. My voice somehow calmed despite my heart launching into arrhythmia. A pause. Ma'am, it's parked right outside your building. Registered to Ava Brooks, this address. I walked to the window, my free hand gripping the edge of the counter. And there it was. A glossy black Tesla, gleaming in the weak January sun like it had driven straight out of a commercial. It sat at the curb with an arrogance only expensive things have perfectly detailed. Temporary registration visible on the dash dot with my name on it. I ran downstairs barefoot, the cold Minneapolis air hitting my skin like a slap. My coffee forgotten on the counter. Harlan was a big guy with kind eyes and a clipboard that looked like it had seen some drama. He held it up when he saw me. You're Ava Brooks. He asked, yes, but I didn't address matches. Name matches. He showed me the repo order. Every detail was correct. My full name, my exact address, my date of birth. Who called you? I asked, my voice cracking now. Lien holder. Vehicles flagged for missed payment. First payment was due last week. Q didn't make it, so they called us. I didn't buy this car. I said, and I hated how my voice sounded small, desperate, like I was lying. I didn't sign anything. I've never even been inside a Tesla. Harlan's expression shifted, not suspicion, but pity. The kind of look that says, I believe you, but it doesn't matter. Then you need to call the lender, he said gently, because according to them, you did. I stepped back from the car like it was radioactive. That's when my phone buzzed again. New account opened, North Star Auto Loan, $78,400. My knees genuinely went weak. I grabbed the hood of the Tesla to steady myself, and Harlan reached out like he thought I might faint. You okay? He asked. I wasn't. I pulled up my credit monitoring app with shaking hands. The one I checked obsessively. The one that was supposed to protect me. And I watched my screen fill with notifications like a slot machine spitting out losses. New account, Capital One Venture Card, $15,000 limit. New account, personal line of credit, $25,000. New inquiry, American Express. New inquiry, Wells Fargo business loan. My credit report looked like someone had taken a flamethrower to it. But it was the last notification that made me sit down on the frozen curb. Still barefoot, still holding my phone like it might explain itself. Business loan approved. $150. Zero congratulations. Ms. Brooks. I remember whispering, no, like the phone might apologize and take it back. Harlan crouched next to me. Ma'am, you need to call the police. I nodded. But I couldn't move, because in that moment, I realized something terrifying. Someone hadn't just stolen my credit. They'd stolen my entire identity. They were being me. I spent the next 4 hours on the phone. First, I called the auto lender North Star Financial. I sat on hold for 23 minutes listening to smooth jazz that felt like psychological torture. When a representative finally answered, a woman named Brenda with a cheerful voice that made me want to scream. She pulled up my account. Yes, Ms. Brooks. I see your application right here. Submitted online on January 3rd at 11:47 p.m. Approved within 6 hours. Congratulations on your new vehicle. I didn't apply for this, I said, forcing each word out slowly. I've never applied for a car loan in my life. Brenda's tone shifted, not to concern, but to the careful neutrality people use when they think you're lying. Ms. Brooks, I understand this might be confusing, but our verification process is very thorough. Your application included a scanned driver's license, proof of income, and she paused, a live facial verification. My stomach dropped. A what? A live facial verification, she repeated. It's a video where you confirm your identity in real time. We use it to prevent fraud. The irony was so sharp it could have cut me. That's impossible, I said. Would you like me to send you the verification file? Brenda asked, and I could hear her typing. Yes, right now. The email arrived. 90 seconds later, I opened the attachment with hands that had started trembling. So badly I almost dropped my phone. And I saw myself dot my face, my eyes, my dark hair pulled back the way I always wore it, my small scar above my left eyebrow from when I fell off a swing set in 2nd grade. It was a 2-second video dot in it. I blinked slowly, turned my head left, then right, smiled a smooth, uncanny smile that was too perfect, too symmetrical dot, and then I said, in a voice that sounded exactly like mine, I confirm my identity and consent to this application. I watched it 5 times dot each time. The wrongness of it grew dot. It was me, but it wasn't. The smile was too wide, the blink too slow, the head movement too fluid, like someone had animated me in a program and forgotten to add the tiny imperfections that make humans real dot. It was a deep fake. I sat on my kitchen floor, back against the cabinet, phone clutched in both hands, and I felt something I'd never felt before, a complete disconnection from my own existence. Someone had taken my face and made it do things. Someone had spoken with my voice. Someone had smiled with my smile. And somewhere in a database, that fake version of me was more real than I was. I didn't call the police right away. I know that sounds stupid, but when your brain is trying to process the impossible, it doesn't always make logical decisions. Instead, I called Madison Lane, my best friend since junior year of college, when we'd been randomly assigned as roommates and somehow became inseparable. She was the person I called when I got my first library job. The person who helped me move into this apartment. The person who knew about my nonprofit dream because we'd talked about it for hours in her car 2 summers ago, eating fries and planning futures that felt big and possible. She answered on the 2nd ring. Ava. Her voice was bright, warm. Hey, I was just thinking about you. You want to come over tonight? I'm making chili. Maddie, I said, and my voice cracked. Something really bad is happening. Her tone shifted immediately. What's wrong? Are you okay? Someone stole my identity. Silence. Then, oh my God. Ava. What happened? I told her everything. The Tesla, the loans, the deepfake video. She listened without interrupting, and when I finished, she said exactly what a best friend should say. I'm coming over right now. She arrived 20 minutes later with a bag of takeout from my favorite Thai place and a laptop under her arm. Okay, she said, setting everything on my coffee table and sitting cross-legged on the floor, like we were in college again. We're going to figure this out. Tell me everything one more time. Slowly. I did. Maddie took notes. She Googled things. She pulled up articles about deep fakes and identity theft and asked smart questions. Do you think someone hacked your phone? She asked. I don't know, I said. Maybe. What about your work computer? I frowned. Why would they target my work computer? Maddie shrugged. You said the business loan used your parents' address, right? And you've got all your personal info in your employee file at the library. Maybe someone at work? No. I cut her off. Everyone at the library is there good people. I'm just thinking out loud, Maddie said gently. She reached over and squeezed my hand. Hey, we're going to fix this, okay? You're not alone. I squeezed back, and for the first time that day, I felt like I could breathe. That was the last normal moment we ever had. The next morning, I got a call from my boss, Ava, Diane said, her voice tight in a way I'd never heard before. Can you come in early? HR needs to speak with you. My stomach dropped. Is this about story time? Because I swear the dinosaur puppet incident was. It's not about story time, she said. And there was something in her voice, something careful and sad that made my hands go cold. When I got to the library, Diane was waiting by the door. She gave me a look I couldn't read and walked me to the HR office in silence. Tanya Reeves, our HR director, sat behind her desk with a printed document in front of her. My manager, Marcus, stood by the window looking uncomfortable. Ava, Tanya said, gesturing to a chair. Please sit. I sat. Tanya slid the paper across the desk. At 2:14 a.m. this morning, our payroll system processed a direct deposit change request for your account. I stared at the paper. A routing number. An account number. Not mine. Someone changed where my paychecks go. I asked. Yes, Tanya said. And because the request came through your employee portal using your login credentials, the system approved it automatically. My throat went dry. I didn't do that. Marcus shifted by the window. Ava, we believe you. But there's more. Tanya pulled out another paper, this one with an official-looking header. We received a background check alert, she said quietly. There's a criminal complaint filed against you. The room tilted. What? My voice came out as a whisper. Business fraud, Tanya said. Filed by a vendor who claims they paid for goods that were never delivered. The business is registered to you. She turned the paper so I could read it. Brooks Literacy Outreach LLC. My heart stopped. That was my name, my dream. The nonprofit I'd been planning for 6 years. Where is this business registered? I asked, even though I already knew. Tanya's eyes met mine with something like pity. 1247 Oakwood Drive, Duluth, Minnesota. My parents' house. I left the library in a daze, outside. My phone buzzed. A text from Maddie. Hey, you free tonight? Made too much chili. I stared at the message. Something about it felt wrong. Not the words themselves, but the timing, the casual cheerfulness, the emoji. I didn't respond. Instead, I drove to the police station. The detective assigned to my case was a woman named Nina Patel. She had sharp eyes, silver streaks in her dark hair, and a calm that felt earned rather than performed. I laid everything out on her desk. The Tesla repo notice, the credit report, the LLC registration, the deepfake verification video. Detective Patel watched the video 3 times without speaking. Then she asked, who has access to your personal information? I don't know, I said. My employer has my social security number. My bank. The IRS. She held up a hand. I mean personally. Who in your life knows these details? I thought about it. My parents. My friend Maddie. That's really it. Patel nodded slowly. Tell me about Maddie. She's my best friend, I said automatically. Then I paused because for the first time, I was thinking about Maddie through a different lens. How long have you known her? Patel asked. Since college. 8 years. What does she do for work? She's in tech. Software development, I think. She works remotely. Patel wrote that down. Has she ever asked you for money? I frowned. No, never. Has she ever seemed to struggle financially? I opened my mouth to say no, then stopped, because 6 months ago, Maddie had mentioned casually, over drinks, that her student loans were crushing her. And 3 months ago, she'd asked if I knew anyone hiring because her contract might not get renewed. But she'd also shown up at my apartment last week driving a brand new Subaru. When I'd asked about it, she'd said she got a signing bonus from a new client, Ava. Patel prompted. I don't know, I admitted. Maybe. Patel leaned forward. The deepfake video creating something that sophisticated requires 2 things. 1. Technical skill. 2. A large dataset of your facial images and voice samples. My stomach turned. Maddie is good with tech. And does she have access to photos of you? I thought about my phone, my cloud, my Instagram, which Maddie followed. Then I remembered something that made my blood go cold. 6 months ago, my phone's storage was full. I'd complained about it to Maddie, and she'd said, "Give it to me. I'll clean it up for you." She'd taken my phone for 20 minutes, sitting cross-legged on my couch, scrolling through my photos and deleting duplicates. At the time, it felt like friendship. Now it felt like data harvesting. She had my phone, I whispered. She organized my photos. Patel's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes sharpened. "Did you give her your passcode?" I nodded, feeling sick. "Ava," Patel said carefully, "I need you to understand something. If your friend has the technical skills to create a deep fake, and she had access to your device, she could have done more than organize photos." "Like what?" I asked, even though I didn't want to know. "She could have installed software to clone your voice, synced your cloud data to another device, accessed your passwords if you have them saved, created a complete digital profile of you." I felt like I was falling. "But why?" I asked. "Why would Maddie do this?" Patel's voice was gentle but firm. "That's what we're going to find out." Detective Patel told me not to confront Maddie. "We need to build a case," she said. "If you tip her off, she could destroy evidence." I agreed. But that night, lying in bed, staring at my ceiling, I couldn't stop thinking about the text Maddie had sent. "Made too much chili." It felt like bait. At 11:30 p.m., I texted back, "Actually, yeah. Can I come by?" Her response was instant. "Yes, come now." Doors open. I drove to Maddie's apartment with my hands shaking on the wheel. She lived in a nicer building than mine, one with a doorman and a gym and actual parking. I'd always assumed she could afford it because her tech job paid well. Now I wondered if my stolen $150,000 was paying her rent. I knocked on her door even though she'd said it was open. Some instinct told me not to just walk in. Maddie opened it wearing sweatpants and a college hoodie, holding a wooden spoon, smiling. "There she is," she said. "I was starting to think you ghosted me." Come in chili's perfect. Her apartment smelled like cumin and garlic. The TV was on, playing some Netflix show on mute. Everything looked normal. I stepped inside, forcing my voice to stay steady. "Maddie," I said, "did you register a business in my name?" Her smile froze for half a second. Then she laughed light, surprised, confused. "What? No. Why would you ask that?" It was too fast, too smooth. I watched her eyes. They didn't widen in shock. They narrowed slightly, like she was calculating. "Someone opened an LLC using my information," I said. "It's called Brooks Literacy Outreach. That's the name I told you. Just you." Maddie's expression shifted into concern, but it looked rehearsed, like she was playing a role. "Ava, oh my God," she said, setting down the spoon and coming closer. "That's insane. Are you okay?" "I saw a deep fake video," I said, watching her carefully. "Someone made a fake video of me to get approved for loans." Maddie tilted her head. "Deepfakes are wild these days, aren't they?" "I read an article, Maddie." I cut her off. "Did you do this?" Her face went completely still. Then she laughed again, but this time it sounded different, sharper. "Are you seriously accusing me?" she asked. "Your best friend? Just answer the question." Maddie stared at me, and for the first time in 8 years of friendship, I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Coldness. "No, Ava," she said quietly. "I didn't. But you know what? Maybe you should look closer to home." "What does that mean?" She crossed her arms. "Your parents. The LLC uses their address, right? And didn't your dad have money problems? My chest tightened. How do you know about that? You told me, she said quickly. No, I said. I didn't. Maddie blinked. For just a moment, her mask slipped. Well, someone did, she said, recovering. Maybe you forgot. I stepped back toward the door. I need to go. Maddie moved closer, reaching for my arm. Ava, wait. You're stressed. You're not thinking clearly. Don't ruin our friendship over paranoia. Her fingers were warm on my wrist, and it felt like a threat wrapped in concern. I pulled away. I'll see myself out. As I reached for the door handle, Maddie said something that made my blood freeze. Be careful who you accuse, she said softly. You don't want to make this worse. I left without looking back. In my car, I sat gripping the steering wheel, my breath coming in short gasps. My phone buzzed. An email notification, payroll direct deposit successfully updated. They'd done it again. Except this time, I hadn't told anyone I was going to Maddie's apartment, which meant she was monitoring something. My email, my bank, my phone. I drove straight back to Detective Patel's office. Detective Patel worked late. When I showed up at 12:47 a.m., she was still at her desk, reading case files. She looked up when I knocked. Ava, what happened? I told her everything about the conversation with Maddie. The coldness, the implied threat, the perfectly timed payroll change. Patel listened without interrupting. Then she opened her laptop and turned it toward me. I was about to call you, she said. We pulled the IP logs from the LLC registration. The filing was submitted from your workplace network specifically, from an employee terminal logged in under your staff ID. My stomach sank. So it's someone at the library, not just someone, Patel interrupted. She clicked something, and a grainy security photo appeared. We pulled surveillance footage from your library's staff area. This was taken at 11:54 p.m. on January 2nd. The image showed someone sitting at a computer. They wore a dark hoodie, and their face was angled away from the camera. But I could see enough. The build, the posture, the way they hunched slightly forward when they typed. That's Maddie, I whispered. Patel nodded. She volunteers at your library sometimes, correct? For events, I said. She's helped with tech setup for virtual story times, which means she'd have building access. Patel said. I felt sick. Patel clicked to another window. The business bank account that received the vendor payments. We subpoenaed the security footage from the branch where it was opened. She showed me a clearer image, a woman standing at a self-service kiosk, face fully visible. Maddie. Wearing the same college hoodie she'd had on tonight. That's not all, Patel said. She pulled up another document. We traced the Tesla purchase. The dealership has camera footage of someone test driving the car and signing paperwork. The signature on the contract matches your ID, but the person who actually picked up the car was. She showed me another photo. Maddie, smiling, handing over paperwork. She was wearing your face, Patel said quietly. Digitally. But when she picked up the car in person, she convinced the dealership she was acting on your behalf as your financial assistant. I stared at the images, my brain trying to reconcile the woman I'd known for 8 years with the person in these photos. Why? I asked. Why would she do this? Patel leaned back. I pulled her financials. She's drowning in debt. Student loans, credit cards, medical bills. She's 3 months behind on her rent. That new car you mentioned, repossessed last week. My hands started shaking. So she stole my identity too. What? Fund her life? Partially, Patel said. But the business loan, that's more complex. She actually started Brooks Literacy Outreach, registered vendor accounts, created a website, started taking orders. For what? Literacy kits for underserved schools, Patel said. She was selling them for $300 apiece. Took orders from 47 schools. Collected $14,100 in deposits. I felt dizzy. Did she actually make the kits? Patel's expression answered before her words did. No. She took the money and disappeared. That's why the vendor filed a fraud complaint. And that's why you're being threatened with legal action. I put my head in my hands. She used my dream to run a scam. Yes, Patel said. And when the heat got too close, she set you up to take the fall. Detective Patel and I designed a careful plan. We couldn't arrest Maddie, yet the evidence was circumstantial, and a good lawyer could argue reasonable doubt. We needed her to incriminate herself, so we set a trap. I posted on my Instagram story, the private one that only close friends could see. The post showed a notebook with handwritten notes and the caption, "Meeting with investors tomorrow. Brooks Literacy Outreach is finally happening. Can't believe this is real." It was bait. And Maddie bit immediately. 10 minutes later, she texted, "Oh my God, Ava. Investor meeting? Tell me everything. Can I help? I know grand people." I waited an hour before responding. Made it look natural. Actually, yes. Small group meeting Friday. Downtown. Want to come? Her reply was instant. Absolutely. Time, place. I gave her the address at conference. Room in a downtown building that Detective Patel had arranged. Friday came. I arrived early with Patel and 2 other officers positioned in an adjacent room. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. At 10:58 a.m., Maddie walked in. She wore a blazer and carried a leather portfolio, looking every bit the professional consultant. She smiled when she saw me, a real smile, warm and excited. "Ava." She hugged me. "I'm so proud of you." I hugged her back, and for half a second, I wanted to believe this was all a mistake. Then Detective Patel walked in. Maddie's smile flickered. "Hi," Patel said calmly, showing her badge. "Madison Lane." Maddie's eyes darted to me, then back to Patel. "Yes? Who are you?" "Detective Nina Patel, Minneapolis PD. We're investigating financial crimes involving Ava Brooks. I was hoping you could help clarify some things." Maddie laughed light, incredulous. "Is this a joke?" "No," Patel said. Maddie turned to me, her expression shifting to hurt. "Ava, what is this?" I forced myself to meet her eyes. "I need the truth, Maddie." Her face did something interesting then. The hurt morphed into something else, something colder. "The truth?" she repeated. "The truth is you're paranoid. You're stressed and you're looking for someone to blame." Patel slid a folder onto the table. "We're not here to debate feelings." Maddie's eyes narrowed. "You can't prove anything, actually," Patel said. "We can." She opened the folder. Inside were printouts, the LLC filing, the bank footage, the library surveillance, the Tesla dealership photos. Maddie looked at each one, her expression carefully neutral. "Circumstantial," she said. "Anyone could have used your face." Patel interrupted. "The bank has biometric data from when you open the account. We can match it." Maddie's jaw tightened. "Get a warrant." Patel nodded slowly. "We will." "But Maddie, you should know we've already subpoenaed your devices. Your laptop, your phone, and we found the Deepfake software." Maddie went very still. "The facial dataset you used to create the verification videos?" Patel continued. "It's still on your hard drive, along with voice samples extracted from videos Ava sent you, and the login credentials you harvested when you organized her phone." Maddie's hands, resting on the table, curled into fists. "This is harassment," she said quietly. "No," Patel said. "This is evidence." Maddie stood abruptly. "I want a lawyer." "That's your right," Patel said, standing too. But before Maddie could leave, I spoke. "Why?" I asked, and my voice cracked. Why did you do this to me? Maddie turned, and for the first time, the mask completely dropped. Her face twisted not with guilt, but with something uglier. Resentment. Why? She repeated. Because you were wasting it, Ava. You talk and talk about your dreams, but you never do anything. You're too scared, too careful, too boring. Her words hit like slaps. So I did it for you. She continued, voice rising. I started the nonprofit. I made it real. I got the funding. And you know what? It would have worked if you just stayed out of the way. I stared at her, genuinely stunned. You stole $150,000. I borrowed it, she snapped. I was going to pay it back once the vendor deals went through. But then you started asking questions, and the vendors got suspicious, and she stopped herself. Patel's voice was soft, and you decided to frame Ava for the fraud. Maddie's eyes went hard. She was never going to use that nonprofit name anyway. I did her a favor. A favor, I repeated, and I felt something break inside me, not my heart, but the part of me that still wanted to believe she'd been my friend. You ruined my credit, I said, voice shaking. You got me suspended from work. You tried to make me a criminal. I made you matter, Maddie shot back. For once in your pathetic little life, you were actually doing something. The room went silent. Then Patel nodded to the officers in the next room. They entered. Madison Lane, Patel said. You're being detained for identity theft, fraud, and computer crimes. Maddie's face went pale, then flushed red. You can't, we can, Patel said calmly. And we are. As the officers moved to either side of her, Maddie looked at me one last time. You're going to regret this, she said. Her voice low and venomous. I looked back at her and said, quietly, no. I'm going to recover from this. They let her out. And when the door closed, I sat down in the nearest chair and started crying, not loud sobs, just silent tears that wouldn't stop. Detective Patel sat next to me and didn't say anything. She just waited. The legal process took for months. Maddie was charged with 12 counts, including identity theft, wire fraud, and computer fraud. She took a plea deal, 7 years probation, restitution, and a permanent ban from accessing financial accounts or technology devices without supervision. She never apologized. The lenders investigated and reversed the fraudulent accounts. My credit score slowly climbed back from the wreckage. The library reinstated me after. If it helped you even a little, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear that they're not alone. I'll see you in the next story.